Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Apex, and today I'm going to be talking about Titanfall. Now, this game just came out last night, probably by the time that you're watching this video at least, and so far I am very happily surprised because I honestly didn't expect too much out of Titanfall when I first saw it. I kind of just thought it was going to be COD with jetpacks. I was kind of one of those skeptics. But so far, this game is really fun. And for those of you that don't know what Titanfall is, that must be a very small minority, but if you don't know what it is, Titanfall is a fast-paced first-person shooter with free-running and mech-based combat. So what you're seeing here are some of my very first games in Titanfall. That's probably my first 3 or 4 games or so. So you might see me kind of stumbling around with the movement a little bit, because it does have a small learning curve, this game. But once you get past that initial learning curve, it's a very streamlined experience, and it's a very smooth and responsive gameplay, which is really refreshing coming from games that I've been playing lately, like Arma and even Battlefield to an extent, because Battlefield, although it's a lot smoother than Arma, is not really as responsive as I would like it to be. If you were to go back and play something like Battlefield 3, you would see what I'm saying. But this, so far, has been very responsive, and that's probably mostly in part due to the fact that it's on the Source engine, which, for those of you that don't know, is the engine that is running Counter-Strike, which in my opinion is the pinnacle of competitive first-person shooters that has really stood the test of time, because that's an old game but still has a huge and hardcore fan base. But anyways, so some people might see this as a disadvantage, others might see this as an advantage, but this game, as far as gunplay goes, plays a lot like the Call of Duty games. Now, I don't really see it as a bad thing, as much as I don't care for Call of Duty that much. I did like the original Modern Warfare, but other than that, I've been a Battlefield fan, and I haven't cared about Call of Duty ever since the original one, the original Modern Warfare, that is. But it really seems to fit in this game, because everything is so fast-paced, and there's just so much movement in this game, that it would be hard to have some really advanced recoil control and still be effective while playing the game. I think it'd be more frustrating than anything. So rather than taking away from the experience, I think all it does is enhance the gameplay that you already have. And it's not like Call of Duty where you have just you have this very simple recoil, and that's basically all the gameplay is, because it's just a generic first-person shooter. Not trying to diss it, but that's really all it is. But the problem with Call of Duty, and the reason why the gameplay tends to get stale after a while, is because there's nothing that really enhances the gameplay to the point where you think, well, I have to focus on something else, so I'm alright with the recoil being very easy to manage. While Titanfall, there is, as I said, a ton of movement, there is a ton of action going on non-stop, and you also have to worry about your own movement, because it's not just, sprinting and walking. And this is free running, you're jumping off walls, you're scaling buildings, and you're doing all this within a matter of seconds. So I'm totally alright with the gunplay being like this. In fact, I'm very happy to see it like this. The only thing I don't really, so far, care for is the sniping in this game, because I don't really feel like it's worth it, because the sniping is very difficult in this game, since you never can really catch somebody while they're not moving. Very rarely will you ever see that. And when they are moving, it's almost impossible to hit them with a sniper, just because they're just moving so fast and erratically. But other than that, the gunplay is fantastic. It's a lot of fun, and I definitely think this is a good style for this sort of game. But now, moving on to what everybody wants to talk about, is the Titan combat. Now, these Titans are great. It's a lot of fun to play with these things. Now, I had just recently played Hawken for the first time, just to get a taste of how mech combat is in other games that have done it before I got to play this game. And I definitely think Titanfall has the best mechanics for these mechs that I've seen in, at least with these past couple games that I've tried out, like Mech Warrior and Hawken. And that's because they use very simple controls, but they still have a lot of the same capabilities as they do in these other games that are completely focused on mechs. Also, when it comes to actually fighting against Titans with a Titan, it's really engaging combat because it's kind of like a chess match when you're playing against these other Titans. Because for every attack that you have, you know that they have a counter for it. And it's more about timing than it is just purely dishing out as much firepower as you can. When it comes to your shield and then firing back what you have caught up in your, I believe it's called a vortex shield. Um, that's about timing. It's also about accuracy, and you really need to know when to fall back. When you know you're about to lose the fight, you have to get out of there. Unless you want to have a little fun and let them nuke you while you're in the middle of a group. And if you have the nuclear reactor buff, then you can go ahead and eject right out the top of your Titan there, and then hopefully you can blow up the entire group with your nuclear reactor. That's always a little fun to do. But it's not just like in some other games where you hop into a vehicle and you feel like, okay, now I can just run head on into anything I want. With these Titans, you just basically have to treat them like a slightly stronger and definitely bigger infantry. So you have to still play tactically, and you still have to watch your positioning and watch your timing. And it's a really fun way to look at these very powerful machines, but knowing that you're still very vulnerable. And it's nice, too, because they balance it really well, the infantry versus Titan combat, because the infantry, the pilots, are still a huge threat while you're in the Titan. In fact, to me, sometimes they're more of a threat than other Titans are, because they're very hard to hit, and they can get into different spots, smaller spots, and they can jump in the air and get on you quite easily, which is probably the most damaging thing as a Titan pilot. If you get a pilot on you, you have to immediately eject and kill that pilot, otherwise he's going to tear you apart very quickly. And finally, this game, being on the Source engine, so far has no noticeable netcode problems or lag problems in general. It's fantastic going to a game like this from a game like Battlefield. In Battlefield, I always had this feeling that I was being cheated out of so many kills and so many deaths that I can't play Battlefield anymore. I rage quit last night and I uninstalled all the games, and I'm not looking back, especially now that I have Titanfall. But guys, after putting about 4 hours into this game already, I can safely say that this game has turned me from a skeptic into a believer. It's a ton of fun, it's very responsive, and it's a new twist to the first-person genre. But that's all for this one, guys. I want to thank you for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.